Hello guys, Mr. Murders here greeting you all. This video is to clarify about the characteristics of the article. We're going to start talking about the outlining. As I was telling you before in the characteristic and the main features of an article, the outlining is a little different to the essay because there is an element that is missing. We're going to include always the title that has to be a phrase, a question, or a sentence that is engaging, that calls the attention of the reader. It has to present in a general way the topic of your article. For example, I have made an article about a terrible event that happened in Indonesia in 2004, the big tsunami. So this is the title that I made. A dream turned into a nightmare. 2004, the big tsunami in Indonesia. So, as you see, I'm trying with this title to engage the attention of the reader, right? Because telling them that a dream can turn into a nightmare is appealing, right, for the eye. Then the thesis sentence, as always, that leads the supporting details. Remember that the introductory paragraph is very important in the article because it's where you start calling the attention of the reader. So in this case, the thesis sentence is only a guide for the main idea of that paragraph, but it's not the most important thing. In reality, the whole paragraph is important. So the good combination of all the ideas that you include in the introduction or the introductory paragraph will give right the reader the elements that will be necessary for feeling that they want to continue reading your article. Have you noticed that in newspaper you just sometimes you just read the headline and a little bit about the beginning and later you don't continue? It's because right sometimes all of the most important things are mentioned in the introduction, so you don't want to continue right with the other thing. You don't have curiosity, but the idea is that the introductory paragraph opens the curiosity of the reader about what is going to be found in the text later. Then about the main ideas, I created three main ideas for this work, but it doesn't mean that are all the main ideas that you can make. I'm thinking that we don't have a limit of main ideas, but you have to consider this time is up to you. How many main ideas do you want to use in your work? I don't want less than three, but if you want to use more than three, it's okay for me because the thing is that you mention all the information in the way you want and that you are presenting the facts and the situation that are important in your article in the good way. The thing is that the work doesn't have to have more than 3,000 right words and less than 500. We don't have to have less than 500. So that's why it depends on how much text you want to add in your paragraph. Now, the element that is missing, as you see, is the closing sentence. And it's because we don't make a closing sentence because we make a paragraph that has a purpose, right? Remember, there are three purposes for a paragraph in the article. One of them is to summarize the main ideas. So you mention all of them. The other is to give a conclusion of the topic that you are using in your article. And the other is to clarify a position that the writer has about the topic. So if you do that, you do it in the last paragraph of the article. Now look at the example. I will show you how you organize this. Always right, try to think in the format right for working in this work. We had to use the font that is Arial. The size of the letter is going to be 12, and also remember to justify your text, right? So in that way the lines are straight on the right and on the left. Also, the space at the beginning of each of the paragraph is called the indentation. You make it by clicking on the button tab. It's a button on your keyboard that has two arrows. one pointing to the left and one pointing to the right, is over the capital letter button, right? Or the capitalization button, right? If you want to call it like that. So you just click on that, or you just push it, and you make that space automatically, right? So that is something important for the format of text. Then in this, we include images, right? If you include an image, you can copy and paste from internet if you have looked, right? Or if you have researched the information and you have found images that you can use, you can store them in your computer and use them later. Also, it's necessary to include a text to describe the image, right? In articles, we don't just put the images. We have to describe them because they have a purpose that has to do with what you say in your paragraph. For example, here I'm presenting the situation, right? Introducing what happened at the beginning. So I show this as an illustration, right, for what someone who could have seen in that situation. How do you add this text? It's easy. You just right click on the image, you go to the option title, then you write the text in here and you click in accept. You can modify that text if you want, right, by clicking on it right here. So in that way you can change illustration for the word image. In the way you have something like this. You have image number one, the text describing the picture, and that's how right you have the image for your article. So you see this is the introductory paragraph. I'm describing the situation. I'm going to include this example in the complementary resources so you can read it. See, as I divide the paragraph, the introductory paragraph, with the first paragraph of the body, I include the first main idea as the first sentence of the paragraph because that's what we do in the body, right, of the article. All of the main ideas are the first sentence of the paragraph. We also include an image, right, for this paragraph, giving, for example, the explanation about what a tsunami is. So I include this right for to illustrate that explanation. So here, right, I'm talking about how people was affected. I show some of the consequences, right, how things ended. And in the next paragraph, I talk about an example of people who survived, right, and how they saw, right, the situation, how they witnessed, right, what happened. So this illustrates a little bit, right, of that. And then I end up right talking about in the last paragraph. I summarize. I make my closing paragraph, summarizing some of the elements and talking about the hope that people right had in the end and how this country, Indonesia, had recovered right after all of the damage that they received. And I illustrate that with this image. So you see how the paragraph work for telling a story, right? But remember, investigating is the most important because all of the things that you have to include here must be information that is real. So the images help you, right, to um, exemplify, right, how real this situation is. So I hope you like this explanation, my friends, and try to apply all the characteristics in your work. I hope this work has perfect grammar, perfect punctuation, the use of all of the characteristics, and also right that your work had the coherence that is necessary. That's why we start with writing only the introductory paragraph and the main ideas so I can give you advice about what things you can change so you can make a good work with your article, right? Thank you very much. I hope to see you in the video conference, and if you have any further question, please try to contact me through the forum of general question. Goodbye.